first rule in grip sport is you tell everyone about grip sport.
Crushing, pinch grip, thick bar, wrists.
If the best guy in the world can't lift 100 pounds on it, I don't give a shit about it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Grip Show. So we have a lot of regionals for the Grip Sport International championships that are coming up here. So we've had a few already, completed, and then I'm going to be recapping basically whatever I can to catch up. And as these other competitions unfold, I'll have more recaps with everybody whenever we get the results. But for now, we're going to be doing the Northeastern Regional Championship with this year's 100 kg Armlifting USA Super Series winner, David Reynolds, and the multi-time national champion, North American champion, king of pinch, Jedd Johnson. All those things, all the above. I don't have time to list off all of Jedd's stuff here. But yeah, so welcome to the show, guys. And David, I think this is your first time on the show. But you were the main host for this competition, so just give everybody kind of an idea of what were your thoughts kind of putting this thing together, and what made you want to host a regional competition?
So, I decided I wanted to take regionals this year when I saw it was we could put in a bid for it. So Eric Dawson and I have kind of talked about hosting a competition up at his gym before. We haven't really gotten around to it, but we had a good opportunity to do that. Vince did a great job hosting the regionals last year, so I thought it'd be a fun competition to do. We put it a little bit earlier in the year, though. I think Vince had it in November last year, but since there was no Shaw this year, we put it towards the end of August, and I think this is where most of the regionals actually ended up.
Okay, yeah, and you guys had this in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, it was up in Stoneham, Massachusetts, Titan Barbell.
Okay. And what was the event selection like? Did you just kind of pick that yourself, or did you have somebody that you worked with? Did you work with Eric on that, and you guys kind of teamed up to put together the event listing, or what was that like?
So I came up with most of the events myself, and I ran them by Eric. The one that he had requested was the Silver Bullet. So we put that in. I was a little hesitant to put it in because we had a lot of new lifters, and I figured that would be the case, and I didn't. I was a little worried we would get a lot of zeros, but we actually didn't have any on the day. So then it ended up turning out better than I thought it might. We did the 2-inch Country Crush, the 3x4-inch Saxon, the Rogue Anvil, and we did a medley at the end. And Eric was fine with all those events.
Yeah, no, as I said, it sounds like a pretty balanced lineup. And Jedd, last year I know you got pushed pretty close with Lucio Batista. You guys had kind of like a duel last year where you ended up, I think, pulling it off, but it was like you had to lift every single medley item, or it basically came down to like one item in the medley that pushed you over the top to secure that victory.
Really what happened was it came down to the event before that, which was the meat hooks. Okay. And what Vince didn't realize last year was that the meat hooks was kind of a dead event because you can't buy them anymore. So like Vince had the meat hooks, I own meat hooks, and then there was some other guy at the contest that had a set of meat hooks. So I was able to train the event and kind of get my awareness of the event back. But Lucio had never seen it before, and also Todd Hustis had never seen it before. So I know that I did 220 kilograms, and I know that Todd did 220 kilograms. But Todd made this huge jump to 250 kilograms, which I knew was going to be quite impressive if he got it, because we didn't do it over the 4-inch blocks. We did it to lock out with a down call. So
okay, yeah, that changes it.
Yeah, the thing about meat hooks is if you don't have it in the right place in your hand, it will rip out and it'll cut your hand. So I think at least 2, maybe 3 people cut their hands on the meat hooks. And that happened to be one of the events where I was able to gain I'm going to say a bunch of points, even though I don't know how many it was, but it was probably like 2 points on Lucio. And the event before that, I think, was the double shallow inch pinch, and I beat him on that too. So going into the medley, I needed, if there were 30 items, I needed to do like 27 or something like that. And he got all 30. So, you know, going by my memory, it was something like that. I actually had a lead going in, and I had to do a certain number in order to maintain that lead, which I was able to do.
Okay. And then Lucio did not compete this year. Just double checking, right?
No, he was he was busy. He had something going on with the local Boy Scouts or something like that. Sounded a little fishy to me, but you know, if that's what's important to you, then I think he was like he was at a car wash or something with the local Boy Scouts or the local 9th grade freshman class, something like that. Something. Dave might know the exact reason, but
he was hiking up in Vermont.
Any intel?
Yeah, he decided to go hiking in Vermont instead of coming down to Massachusetts. So I told him we should have walked over to the competition and lifted and then walked back to Vermont, but I guess he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I think what it was is when he came to the gym, my gym with Juji, and I beat him on the ostrich head or whatever
Flamingo?
it was. Yeah, the flamingo.
Flamingo, ostrich, emu, whatever.
Yeah, he because I lifted it like the legal height, and he like broke it off the ground. So somehow he got credit for that, but that's what happens when you have Juji judging. And I think when he saw that, he was like, maybe I better wash cars in Vermont or something like that.
Okay. Would you go as far, and this is the last thing I'll say on that, would you go so far as to say that you think he was shook?
He was shook.
Did you have him shook? He was shook. Okay.
Yep.
That's all. So
when he left,
move on then.
When he left, I gave him a handshake, and I could feel the trembling. So, all right. I said, all right, I guess I'll see you sometime in 2027.
Yeah. Well, did you guys lead with Silver Bullet? I'm assuming if Jedd attended the competition and Silver Bullet was in the lineup, you probably led with that.
Yeah, that was the first event.
You should have put it last just to piss Jedd off.
Well, I figured he was already mad enough at me from all the crap I was giving him in Minnesota, so I wanted to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so getting into it, Silver Bullet. What was it like when everything started picking up? And did you guys have a decent amount of women's competitors, or what was it like on both sides when everybody was kind of taking their attempts? And either person can kind of take this and jump in and kind of give us a rundown of what was going through your head when you were taking your attempts, or who you were keeping your eye on, or who, you know, pulled off some good lifts or holds, I guess I should say. But yeah, just whoever wants to take it.
So, yeah, we had 15 athletes total. We had 5 women and 10 men. We drew numbers before the competition started to determine the order for the Silver Bullet. And we did 2 rounds. So it was the same order for both rounds. There weren't a whole lot of heavy holds on the men's side. We had Sam Mitchell held the number 3 for
6.3
seconds. And then Jedd won the event. He held the 4 for 12.24 seconds. And then there was a whole bunch of holds at the 2.5. And then the women's side, I had brought a few additional grippers, Vince had brought a few additional grippers. We had a 0.5 that was rated 65, and we had a trainer at 53. And so those were the only grippers that were held on the women's side. But Liv Dawson won the event. She held 14.05 seconds with the 0.5. And then all 4 other women held the trainer. Looks like Jess Trumbull held 36 seconds with that, so they're pretty long hold.
Hey, Dave, how old
what'd you do on that event?
Liv Dawson?
Oh.
More or less. How old is Liv Dawson, more or less? That's Eric's daughter.
16.
16, yeah.
So, it's probably a pretty good hold. Like I said, it's tough for me to kind of judge some age groups or certain things like that with grippers, it's tough. I mean, some things I can kind of gauge it, but that's kind of a tricky one. But I'm sure it probably, if you have everybody in the same room, you can kind of make a better comparison of where everything stands. Um, and Jedd, how did you feel with the Silver Bullet? That's one of your better events. You used to hold the world record back in the day. Um, what was it like on this one, or were you just doing enough to get the win, and not really burn too much energy on the first one?
No, I went all out on the first attempt.
Okay.
12 seconds is kind of on the weaker side for me. But what happened was I had some like some new calluses, I guess you'd say, where the skin was worn here in my hand, and they ended up giving way. So as I'm squeezing to get the gripper down to the bullet, I could feel the gripper was moving back in my hand, which doesn't normally happen. And then once it fell out, I looked at my hand, and you can see that top layer of skin just totally came off, and I didn't even realize that there was callus skin there, or else I would have filed that off. But yeah, it made the gripper go back into my hand out of my power zone, so I fell off. There should have been another 5-6 seconds on there.
Okay. And then did anybody else get time on like a 3.5 or the 4 or anything like that? I'm just curious.
I don't think anybody even tried the 3.5.
Okay.
Sam Mitchell got the 6.3 with the number 3, and then 4 or 5 dudes did the 2.5, including Ryan Fennessy, which that was a PR for him. He'd never gotten a lock with the 2.5, as far as I know. So yeah, there was quite a drop down, but with the strongman scoring, I only got 1 point
True.
out of it.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense, and that's also why.
Yeah. So Vince Broderick took a couple of attempts at the 3. I think he said he set it like 7 times, and he just couldn't get good with it.
Yeah.
That's the event that bothered my finger the most, so I didn't really bother trying the 3 on it. I just went for just beat the other competitors on the 2.5 and left it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jedd and Ryan started conspiring. So Ryan beat my first hold, so I had to go again.
Yeah, trying to drag it out and wear you out, take you to deep waters.
Well, Ryan
conditioning.
Ryan did the 2 the first round and got like 23 seconds or something like that.
It just seems like you're holding it forever.
I was like, holy crap, man, just let it drop. Just let it drop. I could just tell by the way, like a lot of the competitors were fumbling with the set that they weren't gonna get a 30-second hold. So I was trying to telepathically tell him to just let the thing drop, but obviously he's not operating on my wavelength, because I know the messages were going. He just wasn't receiving. His antenna must be broken.
He's also a fellow Pennsylvania lifter, right?
No, he's not. He's from Massachusetts. Nope. Yeah.
Is he? Okay.
No.
For some reason, I thought he was. I thought he was in Pennsylvania or close to you guys, or maybe he just bought some stuff from Luke one time, and I assumed he was in Pennsylvania. I don't know.
He's been down for several contests, and he came down the first time for my seminar that I did at my gym. So that's probably why he's so, because he's here a lot. But no, he's a Massachusetts guy.
Okay. And then Jedd, you jumped off to a good start there, but without the percentage-based scoring to really bump you up higher or get a bigger gap there. You mentioned only strongman scoring or reverse strongman, so you're only going to be up or down 1 point. What was the next event like? And I guess just what was the transition like into the second event? Because like by now everybody's probably warmed up and ready to go. And I don't know. I don't know who had goals on Silver Bullet, but they're probably looking forward to these other lifts a little bit more than Silver Bullet for most people.
Sure.
So
and what happened was, several weeks before the contest, Dave had told me that this dude signed up that had done like 430 pounds on the Country Crush, which was the next event. And I thought it was Matt Sachoka, or whatever his last name is. I thought that was him. So I was like, crap, I'm going to end up losing a point to this guy. And it wasn't until like the third or fourth event that I realized that Matt was not the guy that Dave was talking about. So actually, I guess it was probably after the the Country Crush, I realized it because he only got 155 kilos. But
Did you guys do that event? That was second, the Country Crush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dave ran it like what is it? Bulgarian deadlift. Dave, help me out there.
So yeah, we
Ukrainian?
used
Is it that
a
one?
Ukrainian setup. Yeah.
Oh, Ukrainian. Yeah.
The big wooden block that you load weights on each end of it. So it looked like a giant loading pin pretty much. And so Eric had he had to make a new attachment point to hook the Country Crush up to it. So he did that, and we pulled off of these big blocks. So, we only had one lane for this event, so we ran it a little bit differently. We did it in kind of a round system rather than a rising bar. So after all the athletes warmed up, we all put our first attempts in. And then it went from lightest opener to heaviest opener. Then the weight got all stripped off, and we reset. You put in your second attempt, and it went back like that for the 4 attempts. And I thought it ran pretty smooth. I was thinking it was going to take probably about 2 hours with one lane, but I think we did it in under an hour and a half. We got through everybody.
Yeah. And for anybody listening in and not, well, even if you're watching the video, I don't have a picture of it up right now or anything. So, but just to try to explain it. So you basically had like a giant piece of wood on the floor that had the weights on it or connected to it, and then a giant connector piece basically going up the center. And then the lifter was standing up on basically platforms with the weight all the way down, in between them. And if anybody wants to just look up like a Ukrainian deadlift style, but basically Ukrainian deadlift with the Country Crush, basically 2 rolling handles that are neutral grip. But I did see that video, and it looked pretty cool. So if anybody gets a chance, check it out. And I thought that was interesting in the way that it basically still followed the sanctioning rules to count with the pull to height, I assume. I don't know. I mean, it still probably counted for everything. But you kind of made it more of a spectacle, or it kind of made it probably a little bit more fun to watch than, I don't know. Probably had a better presentation for it, I would say.
Yeah. So that was, sorry, Jedd.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
That was the goal, was to I wanted to create something that, a lot of the athletes aren't going to have the opportunity to lift on very often. And we actually had quite a big crowd for that event. I'd say the first 2 events, there was probably I'd say about 25 people in the room just watching. So it was cool. But yeah, I did reach out to Jedd and Eric prior to the competition. So the results for that do go into the database.
Okay. Well, I saw that you guys had the height, to measure it. I saw the crossbar and everything, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool, because oftentimes we see people kind of switch up an event or, try to change the format of an event. But usually if they try to like have some big crazy presentation or something, usually that just takes away the knock bar and all that. But in the way that you guys did it, Jedd, I could be wrong here, but for me, kind of following the sport the last 5 years or so, I feel like that's the first time I've seen a lift that, I don't know, basically still met all the criteria for the database, but then had more of a spectacle setup to it. If you get what I mean, where it almost looked like nothing else that is contested, but it still was in there. So I thought that was a cool way to combine things. I hadn't really seen anything like that, so I thought that was a little bit of a twist. I know, like in California, they did the one where they had like the time told, because I remember Eric Rusain and Andy Muncie and Tanner and those guys did like a kind of like the wrecking ball hold or the rock hold thing where, so they're up there, but it's like an unsanctioned event where you're kind of just running a wild card, medley style thing. But with this, I think it's cool because you're still getting, a max lift, 6-inch pull height, but you're just completely changing the appearance of it. And just for you guys, for the setup, did you notice anything different, comparison wise, from how it felt to maybe an actual loading pin with the weight distribution being a little different? Did you guys feel like it was different from your other numbers? Just curious.
It was similar to what I had been doing in training. It felt pretty similar to the actual setup. The only thing that I had noticed was different was when you're looking down, the knock bar is so much further from you. So when I thought I had kind of just touched it, I'd actually pulled it up maybe an inch or two when I thought I'd just like barely scraped the bar. That was the only thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then Jed, for you, what was it like? Basically just in comparison to the floor.
yeah. The weights were similar. The feel was similar. I think when I looked at the video that Dave sent me, I was thinking that the loading pin was going to be a little bit lower. So I trained with a real low loading pin. And when I do that, it's actually easier for me to get to the 6-inch height. Uh, the loading pin was a little bit higher than what I trained. So I was kind of,
More upright
more upright.
or
So
just to start you. Yeah.
Yep. And for that reason, I think my numbers dropped ever so slightly. But I think my best number in the database is 415. I still got 407, so it was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have had enough to take another attempt and maybe get it. But
Yeah.
that last one was definitely tough, and it felt different. I thought I was actually pulling the wood block up against one of the uprights of the platform, but I wasn't. So it must have just been a grinder. And it's a lot of stuff to take into your visual input, because like Dave said, the knock bar and everything is so far down there that you're kind of estimating how far you're pulling it. And I got it to the crossbar and a little bit higher on the last one. The other ones I pulled well through the crossbar. So, there's definitely no advantage to it. There's probably a little disadvantage because of the visuals. That's about it.
Okay. And just for people listening in, do you know about how high up you guys were on the platform? Like how far away were you from basically, like, I guess your hands, or when you would finish your lockout, how far is that pin below you guys? Just for anybody listening in.
It was probably like 3 feet, I would say.
That's what I was going to say, about 3 feet, because we could have stepped up onto that platform, but I think stepping down would have been where the real risk was, and I know I would have twisted an ankle. So I actually set up a box to the side so we could have like steps, and then Eric brought another box over, and it worked out great. But yeah, it was probably about 3 feet you were up off the floor.
Okay. And then, I guess, Jed, you mentioned you were pretty close to some of your better lifts there, or you at least were, over the 400-pound mark, which is usually pretty good on a country crush handle. Any other big lifts there, or any other good battles, I guess, to kind of note?
It was just really tight again between me, Vince, Matt, and Sam. Matt and I both tied at 155 kg, so like 341. And then I believe Vince and Sam tied at 150, and they both missed, or Vince missed 160, Sam missed 155. Somebody else got 150. And then I think JC Jassa was also he did 145. So it was pretty tight up there, and that's kind of the theme of the entire competition was really like us 4 or 5 were like just kind of neck and neck with each other the whole time, not really pulling away from each other.
Okay.
And then the women, I can find it, the sheet somewhere. Jess Trumbull lifted 110 kilograms, 252 or 242 pounds, and then Liv Dawson and Melissa Robertson both 95 kilograms, so like 209. I did also notice that Sam Mitchell broke the 74 kilogram record on the GSI database. It was I don't know what the exact record was, but he beat it with his 150 kg lift.
Okay, and you said it was at 74 kilos?
Yep, 74 kilos.
That was the weight class. I might be able to check it out here. But yeah, no, that's it's always cool when you have somebody that can, like, I don't know, drive any number up, because that just makes that mark a higher standard for the future people competing. But let me get the weight classes going. But yeah, outside of that, what was the next event from the Country Crush? And I'm
Yeah.
assuming, Jedd, you probably took the lead on both these events, so maybe there's like a cluster of people that are kind of battling it out for the
Yeah, I would
overall to get
imagine
next to you, but you're probably in a good spot.
the scores behind me were pretty close. It probably would have been I would say Dave would have been either second or third place in the running score at that point.
Okay.
And then Matt Sachoka. Am I saying that last name right, Dave? Sachoka?
Yeah. It's okay.
So he was pretty close too. It was gonna get it would be definitely gummed up for the top 4 places after the first 2 events.
Okay. And then David, for that lift on the Country Crush for the 74 kilo class, there was a few competitions. There was Gritmas in July that was held, Diesel Crush Classic, and we actually held it at the 2025 Grip Sport Nationals at Jason Dingy's. And Vinny Reveles did 295, and the past record was Jeremy Kaufman at 297. So you said how much did he do on that?
He did
For the
150 kilograms, 330.
Okay, so I
331,
mean, he
something
broke
like
that weight class record by about 30 pounds or so. So that's a it's not like he just took a record breaker and threw a 1 pound plate on. That's a good increase. So yeah, congrats to him. And then sorry if I got sidetracked there. But yeah, moving on from the Country Crush and kind of talking about all the placings there. What was it like getting into the following event after that?
Next one was Saxon Bar, and
Okay.
Dave ran 3 lanes on this one. He had 3 different Sorinex Saxon bars, which is a feat in itself, finding 3 of those. But I'll tell you what, Zach, the contest ran so fast for the 3rd and 4th events. I mean, it is definitely the way to go if you can find Saxon bars that are so closely matched. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the women actually used an arm assassin, but the 2 men's groups both had Sorinex 3x4 Saxons with they were bare steel. They felt great. The last time I did a 3x4 Sorinex Saxon was at Maryland's Strongest Hands in I think 2023, and the paint was really slick. You could not get any grip, and I think I only got like 208 or something like that day. So
Yeah.
this one felt a lot better.
Okay. And then David, I know you mentioned before the show started that you had recently pulled a real big Saxon lift in the Super Series, but you had kind of a finger injury that held you back a little bit on that lift. Do you feel like?
Yeah, well, I did 251 in the Super Series, so like 113 kg. And I mean, my fingers have been bothering me pretty much the past 5 weeks or so. And so I wanted to not push anything too much on Saturday if I didn't have to. And at that point in the competition, it was just Jedd and I left. So I took 227, and then Jedd took 231, and I think we both kind of agreed to just not take our last attempts. I let him have it and didn't bother going up anymore. We had 2 events left, and I just didn't want to. I probably could have pulled a little bit more on it. I don't think I would have been able to hit 250 that day. But yeah, I didn't want to push it too far and then end up making my finger worse than it is.
Now, this is just a bonus question. How is the glute injury from North Americans?
Boots all healed up now. Boots good to go.
You bounce back? Okay. We're just trying to get you healthy. I know you're getting up there in age now, so we just got to make sure everybody talks about all this longevity and grip training. So, how old are you now?
Well, I'm 23. I was born 23 years ago, but I'm 40 at heart. So it's
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we just got to make sure we I don't know. Keep working on your recovery. Make sure you get injured less and less because it seems like every competition you're awful banged up for being 23, David.
I'm trying, but when you get to be my age, it's tough.
Yeah. And when you're lifting the kind of weights you lift, right? Something's bound to break down. But I won't mess with you too much. But no, I'm glad the glute's feeling better. And yeah, hopefully the finger stuff will kind of, I don't know, not hold you back too much for the remainder of the year. And hopefully we can get that sorted out. Any other PRs on Saxon or any other, like, I guess, good lifts that anybody, I guess, maybe was happy with or any interesting moments?
Um, Matt Sachoka and Sam Mitchell tied on that one again. So they both did 100 kilograms. Sam actually ran out of attempts, so I think he would have been good for a little bit more. And I didn't realize it before the competition, but the 74 kilo record is only like 102 kg. So I think he probably would have gotten that too had he had another attempt. And then
did you guys do 4 attempts or was it just like an attempt limit with the last man standing?
it was last man standing with 4 attempts. Or, well,
Okay.
I'm sorry, rising bar 4. My apologies.
I got you. Okay.
And then on the women's side, Michelle Fenner pulled 52 kilograms, so like 110-ish pounds, something around that. And that, I believe, is actually the 100-plus record for GSI, but I believe that's a newer class. I don't think there are many else. And after that, or I'm sorry, that was the Roganville result. She pulled 55 kilograms on the Saxon bar, so 110 pounds. And then it would have been Jess Trumbull pulled 50 kilograms and Liv Dawson took third with 47.5. So another close one there on the ladies' side.
All right. And then where do you want to jump to from that? Do you want to get into the Rogue Anvil straight from there, or Jedd, anything you would like to add in before we start pushing towards the end of the competition?
Just I couldn't believe how fast we got to 100 kilos, like, or whatever I opened with. I was like daydreaming or something, and I turned around and like I thought we just started and we were already into my attempt range. So it just goes to show that the multiple lanes was very effective at saving time, and it might be something that people want to consider if they're going to be running a grip contest with a lot of competitors, because it really made a difference.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get into that with the Nemesis crew because for the Central Canada Championships, I believe they had like 46 people or close to 50 maybe sign up for their regional. So I want to say that when I spoke to Eric Hussein that they had I want to say they kind of had some multiple lane type stuff going on for certain lifts or maybe a couple of them. So it's interesting to see how it works out because I know Andrew Brogdon and Zach Stanowitz did it for the Greenville Grab. We're kind of seeing the sport have bigger numbers, but we're almost seeing that if the promoters at least can just coordinate and have a couple staff members on hand and everybody kind of knows what they're doing, it's really easy to kind of facilitate a bigger competition. If you get into that 30, 40 person range, if you split it into a couple platforms or something. And we even had multiple platforms at the North Americans as well. So I think that we're kind of seeing, at least the last couple of years, last year or two, I've seen that format or that extra lane kind of be added for increase of competitors, and it seems like most people are doing that nowadays. If it's
I don't
they're
want
worried
to
about time.
I don't want to paint the wrong picture. Like, it's definitely not the first time I've seen it, but this may be the first time I've seen 3 run at the same time. And what I guess what I was anticipating is because it seemed like the group of competitors were somewhat inexperienced, that it might go slower and really be a slog through some of these events. But that was completely erased. And Dave had a great crew. He had a judge at each spot and a weight changer at each spot. So, I mean, the whole thing just flowed great. It was a really, really well-run contest.
Dave, how much did you
The
pay
only
your plate handlers, plate loaders?
I paid if they agreed to load plates before I put in the t-shirt order, they got a t-shirt. So that was
Okay.
the only thing that I would change about that setup if I did it next time is I only had one scorekeeper. So Bill was getting tossed around all 3 lanes, and that was probably the only time during the day that I had separate sheets for the men and women. So in hindsight, I probably should have just had him give the women's sheet off to somebody and have them stay at that one lane.
Mm-hmm.
My head was kind of all over the place during the day. I was focusing on the contest and trying to run it, and so it was. But yeah, no, I had a great crew of people helping out. And I think that the thing that really made that event run fast is rather than running it by separating weight classes, we had a heavier men's lane and a lighter men's lane. So the heavy one started at 154 pounds, the light one started at 100 pounds, 5 men on each. And so we all kind of finished right around the same time. And I think it was under a half hour we got exactly done.
Yeah, no, that's moving pretty quick. And like I said, I was kind of joking about paying the plate loaders and stuff. But yeah, no, it's cool you gave him a shirt and everything. But I'm trying to think, and it's honestly it is tough. I mean, Jedd knows it all too well with trying to compete while you're hosting and running a lot of stuff. But this is good information for anybody that is thinking about getting into hosting or just hearing you reflect about things that you would have changed and what worked well. This is all information that anyone tuning in is going to be able to implement in future competitions or kind of learn from your mistakes. So that's why I kind of like to cover some of this stuff on the recap side, because it's always given other promoters ideas or just kind of giving feedback to other people. You know, hey, here's what we did. This is what worked. Or, hey, you know, if I could change one thing, think about this. And I think it's I don't know. I just think it's helped out the flow of competitions, particularly in the last year, stuff like that. So, yeah, just want to say, you know, good job on getting everybody through there and not making it too quick, but also not taking all day. And then, how was the Rogue Anvil overall? Pretty close stuff there, or was it? Or how did everybody feel with that? Because I know a lot of people, maybe some are more familiar with the Rogue Anvil, if they have done some arm lifting or something, or maybe if they just have that tool. I don't know about, you know, other people versus, you know, the Little Bighorn, but sometimes we don't have all the same stuff, and they have the same taper, but it's where the Rogue Anvil just continues on both sides a little bit further. What was it like for people lifting on that, and what was the feedback from, I guess, that watching that event happen?
So I had actually reached out to Lucas at Arm Assassin, and he had made me a pair of 10-inch loading pins. I wanted to lower the height of the handle so it wasn't so high for some of the shorter athletes, and it actually, I found you could lift a little bit more like that, and I liked it. It made the event. You didn't have to worry about people bracing it, pretty much is what was going on with the pins. And Vince Broderick actually had another one of those pins, so he brought that for the third lane. I thought it ran pretty well. Again, it ended up being another relatively close one between the guys at our lane anyway. And I think it was probably pretty close between the other lane as well. And this was actually the only event of the day that Jedd did not take first place in. So Vince Broderick won the event with 109.5 kilograms, so 241. And that was actually,
man, that's a good dude. That's a big lift.
Yeah, that was a big lift. So that was really cool to see.
Man, that's really good. But it also shows how that little extra length probably helped on that handle. Whereas, I mean, I don't know Vince's full hand size. I would say they're probably like slightly shorter than my hands, and I don't necessarily have giant hands or anything. But I think that for smaller handed individuals, being able to kind of choke up higher on the end of that anvil kind of helps. You can actually get a better position. Whereas if you try to take the same grip on Little Bighorn, you'd probably have a finger or two hanging off at the top, and you wouldn't be able to get that same position. So just a slight joke here, David. You mentioned Jedd did not get the event win, and that went to Vince Broderick. Now, It's an anvil lift. We're pulling to 6-inch height. I know it's the Rogue Anvil, so we're not used to seeing it here. Did you have to jump in and enforce anything on it? Was there any napalm swang going on?
There was Jedd was not doing his kettlebell swing from North Americas. No, that was he did not do that.
Okay. Um, so I was just making sure he wasn't like knocking uprights over or, just some of that other stuff that happens. Now, real quick, anybody that doesn't get the joke, okay. Originally, the term napalm swang was first mentioned, at least me joking around with it, was when Ben Helms was trying to clean the inch dumbbell. And we just referred to that load up of the inch dumbbell where Jedd will, you know, drag the dumbbell back and then basically get it to the high pull where you're doing that. That's when we started saying napalm swing was basically how Jedd cleaned the inch dumbbell. And that's why. So through all the trash talk and just whatever, that's what we started joking and just using napalm swing anytime Jedd was lifting something. But it really started from him actually doing legitimate technique on the inch dumbbell cleans. So that's the origin of that. But then it morphed into the North Americans where it kind of became a joke about Jedd throwing the stack sideways or whatever. I don't know what you were getting on him about, but yeah, so he was playing by the rules.
Yes, he was playing by the rules. And
Okay.
although I think you'd have been upset with me. I broke the Loctite on one of the anvils. I gave it another concussion. So
If there was one person that could unthread the eye bolt out of the anvil or slam it off the plate stack, I would have put money on you, David. After what you did to that little bighorn at North Americans.
I drove up to Eric's gym on Wednesday to make sure I tightened it myself, and it popped open after my second or third warm up. So
What did you use?
I
Elmer's
tried.
glue?
No, I had some of
Did you use a glue stick?
It was the little bottle that Zach Stanwick sends over with his anvils. I had some of that left, so I went and used the rest of it there.
I don't know. Maybe you got a special adhesive or something. I don't know if Zach sent me anything special for mine. Maybe I got the budget set. But
And who was it that
anyway,
saved the day? Who was it that saved the day on the event, Dave?
It was Jedd did have extra anvil with him. So I thank you for bringing that, Jeff.
Jedd, how did you fix it, or what was the method of keeping it good and back on pace?
No, I simply brought mine with me, so that
just to back up
when it was needed. And I even heard the like a sound in the background when I was walking over to grab mine out of my tote. Dun, da, 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 na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. It was like the Superman theme was playing, just because I was coming in to save the day.
It was actually Vince coming in to kick your ass on the end.
He did kick my ass, and I knew he was going to have a big lift because, like 6 weeks before the contest, he put up some training clips, and he was like well into the 230s, and I was like, damn. I got my work cut out for me. So he gave me the smackdown on contest day. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, no, that's good. And that probably separated Vince a little bit from the pack, or that had to help his overall standing a little bit, pulling off a full event win there. Where a lot of these battles you said had kind of been close with some of those guys. Taking an overall win got to help out.
I don't remember specifics. Like, it's kind of like faded out of my memory already, but unfortunately he only got 85 kilos on the Saxon bar. So 188 pounds, and there were 4 people above 100 kilos. So if he was running closely prior to the third event, he probably had a bit of a slide back, and I'm sure he gained some points back. But it probably brought him back to the top 5 at that point.
Okay. So yeah, probably helped some of the earlier damage.
This event was really beneficial to Vince because he actually got an event win over Sam Mitchell where they were in the same weight class. So all the athletes under 92 were combined, and I believe Sam won the first and third events, and then they tied on the second one. So this was big for Vince.
Mm-hmm. And then Anything else to add? I know Vince had a big lift. Was there anything else on the Rogue Anvil to mention there?
It was second place would have been Jedd at
Mhm.
97 kilograms, or yep, 97, and then I was third at 92. And then on the women's side, there was a three-way tie for first at 57 kilograms between Liv Dawson, Jess Trumbull, and Melissa Robertson. So they were all pretty close over there.
Yeah, did the well, I was gonna say that's probably were they just kind of following each other's? No one wanted to take that big jump, or they were all kind of taking the same attempts and then just missed around the same point, I assume.
So Liv took 44, 49.5, 57, and then missed 67. Jess took 44, 49, 57, missed 67. And then Melissa took 47, 49, 52, and 57 was her last attempt. So Jess and Liv took the same attempt, and Melissa was a little bit behind them, but she got her fourth attempt at 57.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say 10 kilo jump there towards the end is pretty big on that lift.
Yeah.
If that's what a couple of them did, yeah, that's tough. I mean, it can either go really well if you're feeling it and you're in the zone, or on a vertical lift like that, it could just sit on the floor and feel like it's stuck. Um, but no, yeah, it seems like it was a pretty good event there, and at least something kind of got shaken up as far as standings go or event winners. And then the medley, what was it like for setting up the medley or choosing your guys' medley?
So I really like the medley that you guys ran at nationals this year. So I wanted to do something similar to that, but I changed it a little bit. So I made it a little bit bigger. There were a few more items, and I gave a little bit more time. But I wanted to do a whole lot of different types of lifts. So we had some key pinch, axles, blobs, plate pinch, hubs, grippers, installs, and I thought it went really well. There was other than Jedd, who did pretty much everything. It was also pretty close again between most of those other guys at the top, and it was a good split. But I wanted to include something that everybody was going to be good at. So some people are better at inches, they'll have inches in there. Some people are better at the blobs, they'll have a blob, stuff like that. But I thought it turned out pretty well.
Okay, and then Jedd, what was it like for you? You probably had the event. You probably had the overall one, assuming you didn't like get injured or do something crazy in the medley. Did you have a goal going into the medley, just try to get everything, or were you just kind of I don't know, chilling out at that point, or were you still kind of I don't know, trying to put an exclamation point on the performance?
So I looked at all the events. I looked at all the challenges, and out of 30, I figured for sure I could do 28 of them because there was a 16-pound sledgehammer in there, and I hadn't trained any sledgehammers prior to the event, so I was not sure I'd even bother with that. And then I
was
looked
that a
at
lever? Sorry, Jedd, was
Sorry?
that a lever? Like over? Was that a lever?
A sledge lever, front lever.
Yeah.
So the other one was the 245s, and I went over and I was like touching them, and I could tell that they were a little bit thicker, just a little bit wider than what I was training on, and they had a decent bevel to them, but they still felt sharp. So I was like, I'm not even going to bother with this one because I didn't want to. I felt like I could have broken them off, but I felt like there was a risk for tearing, and I just didn't want to set myself back for the next week or so, on training. So I waved that one off. So I figured what I would do is I would start with the number 3 gripper. It was only a 132, which is the lightest number 3 that I've ever encountered.
That has to be, yeah. I was thinking like high 130s, but that's probably lower than anything I've heard.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't like the medley at nationals that you set up with like the 154 number 3. It was
with the widespread.
yeah, which I didn't even bother trying. The 3 was a 132, but I figured if I waited too long, I might be too worn out to be able to hit it. So I did that first. then my nemesis, the hubs, I got those out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I blew myself away. I was able to do the 55 kilo hub with a Nemesis adapter on it, and I could not do that last year at Northeast Regionals. So I was ecstatic with that. Then
so you said 55 kilos, Jedd, or 55 pounds?
55 kilos, 55 pounds. Sorry, 25 kilos.
Okay,
25 kilos.
I was just double checking. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, you turned
catch.
into a hub master all of a sudden.
No. But once I got those out of the way, then I think I either did the axle at 353 or the inch to the platform. And then from there, I kind of knocked everything out in blocks. So he had about 8 blobs, and I started with the heaviest and just walked backwards. Worked backwards. I think I did the first 3 right-handed and the last 5 left-handed. So that kind of split the load up on my hands. And then I was going back because I was going to go after the plate pinch and the rest of the grippers, and I almost went right past all the key pinch stuff. So you can see in the video, I'm like walking, and then I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about those. So I hit those real quick. And then I don't know how much time I had left. Like sounds weren't registering. So I just kind of hustled down to the 16-pound sledge, and I was able to get it. So that wrapped everything up, and I ended up with the 29 items.
Okay. No, that's I assume some of the heavier blobs or some of the heavier bells were pretty much like full size, or up there close to kind of that.
Well,
yeah. What was the biggest blob you guys lifted?
The biggest blob was a half 120 Legacy. Then it was 115.
Okay.
Legacy.
So yeah, you guys are pretty much, going pretty heavy on everything. If you have 3s in there, you got a 55-pound hub adapter and stuff like that. I mean, it's not like you're just cruising through everything. There might be some lighter increments to work up to it, but on the top end, all of those lifts are nothing to laugh at individually, but 30 of them in a row after full competition and stuff. Seems like it was a pretty solid medley. What were some of the better scores after that, Jedd? You hit 29 out of 30. What were some of the other placings there?
So I got the 29, and then Matt and Sam both got 17, which I thought was really good especially with the number of blobs that were in there. So and then Vince got 18. So what you see here again is the guys with more grip sport experience and more feet of strength experience kind of pull ahead at the medley in Vince and I. And I'm sure David would have been there right in that range, if not beyond them as well, had he not been contending with these finger injuries and stuff. But I thought with Sam's limited experience and Matt only having a couple years in the sport, and I think this weekend was the first grip sport competition he ever did. It's limited experience, but they showed what their natural abilities are by getting 17 items apiece. That's pretty good.
Yeah, because there's some stuff there they probably have never even seen or never even touched before. So, just trying to figure it out on the fly is pretty tricky, especially, it's part of the competition, but you're, post all the events and the medley's the finish. So,
no joke.
It's definitely tough to blitz that at the end. Moving on from that, did you guys want to kind of cover just some placings? Just sort of, hey, here's how this shaped up, and then we could maybe just do like some placings, talk about sponsors, or just give a thanks to the people that helped out with the competition and stuff. But David, Jedd, however you guys want to kind of put that together, but we can kind of get into basically placings and sponsors and stuff and take it from there.
I do want to just touch on one last thing from the medley, and that was Jess Trumbull's run. So for the women, I had, for the heaviest axle was 233 pounds, and the heaviest inch was we were going to have an actual 120 inch, but Vince, we didn't end up getting it there on the day. So we used a loadable, it was like a half globe loadable inch. You'll see it in the videos. And that was 120 pounds. And I didn't think any of the women were going to lift that. I had put it in there because we had a woman that I thought may be able to. She pulled out of the competition the day before. But Jess lifted at the end of the medley that inch and that axle pretty comfortably. So I thought that was pretty impressive. And she took first in the medley for the women.
No, those are both good lifts. Yeah. I mean, I think I just had what was the competition? I just did the Pacific regionals with Dylan Lassich and Andy Muncy. And they mentioned that I think some of the women's lifting was close to like that 110 kilo mark or 240, 250. They mentioned that one of the women could have possibly went up and probably pushed on above that, but that was some of their top lifts. And you're talking about, maybe being 5 or 10 pounds lighter in a medley. So it's not like you just tossed a give me lift in there just to kind of speed bump and slow people down. It was actually scaled pretty high for the women's, it sounds like, on that, at least. I mean, for that one. So, and then 120-pound inch dumbbells, nothing to laugh at either on the women's side. That's a good dumbbell. You don't really see too many of the women in the sport lift 120-pound inch dumbbells or anything higher than that. At least I haven't so far. I mean, I know there are a few, but that's of the dumbbell data I've seen from women competing in the last year. I mean, we had like Tammy walk the 110s at North Americans, but I mean, Tammy's also one of the best, and those are 110. So picking up a 120 at the end of a competition's got to be a solid benchmark. So no, it's good to highlight that.
That was a cool implement too. That's what Max brought with him, right, Dave?
Yep, he brought the third Saxon up, and he brought that inch trainer. But so he bought it from Nemesis. It was originally just a regular inch trainer, and he welded those bowls onto it to make it like a half globe. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so from there, David, however you want to break down placings or just sort of the overall, just overall standings or weight class standings, just kind of however you want to summarize, I guess.
Yeah, we can do the overall. Originally, the weight classes, I had at least 3 people in each class, but with some of the pullouts, I ended up having a few single person classes, which I wasn't the happiest about, but it is what it is. The only weight class I really do want to touch on was the 93 kilo men. So, like I said, all the athletes had been close throughout the competition, and so Sam and Vince ended up tying for first in that class. So we had them do a tiebreaker. So it was a stall mat hold. And each 10 seconds, so it was a key pinch style, and each 10 seconds I would add a 10-pound plate.
I've seen this making its rounds. Apparently, that is like what a bunch of people have been doing lately.
Yeah. So anyway, so I thought for sure Vince was going to drop it. He was making a whole bunch of noise and shaking around, and Sam was just looked stone cold. But as soon as I go to put the 5th plate on, Sam dropped it, and so Vince took the title in the 93 kilo class. So that was pretty cool to watch.
It's always good when you have like an actual tiebreaker that's head to head.
I had to do a tiebreaker for the women as well, but since the 3 of them tied for prize money on the anvil, I just had them all squeeze a dynamometer because I couldn't have 3 people do that key pinch at the same time with a stall mat. That wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Cut it into a triangle. Everybody take a corner.
Yeah. So
not messing
I'll
around.
do the top 5 for the overall men. I'll do the top 5 just because 5th through 2nd was awesome. After that, there was a little bit of a drop. So 5th place with 19 points was Sam Mitchell. 4th place with 18.5 points was Vince Broderick. 3rd place with 17.5 points was Matt Sachoka. 2nd place at 15.5 was myself, and then Jedd had a runaway victory with 6 points, so he was pretty far ahead of the pack there. But 2nd to 4th or 2nd to 5th was also close to each other. And then for the women, 3rd place was Melissa Robertson. So she was the only lightweight woman on the day. She finished at 15.5 points. 2nd was Liv Dawson at 10.5 points. And Jess Trumbull took the win at 8 points. So her and Liv were pretty close. Jess got her by 2 or a point and a half. So not a big margin.
Okay, so then last year, I just want to go by last year's winner. So Jedd, you took the men's side last year.
Yep.
How was this year's women's turnout compared to last year? I'm trying to. I covered the last one, but I don't remember everything. So I was just curious if we had like a
I think
new
it was
victor on the
close.
women's side, or was
I think it was close, but maybe one or two more last year, if I remember correctly.
Who won it on the ladies' side last year?
Joanna won it, but she refereed
Okay.
for us this year. Yeah, she didn't compete.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So then that's kind of cool too. Having another experienced competitor there that won last year, but also helping run it and everything. So yeah. From there, like I said, I mean that covers kind of the standings. Do you want to get into, I don't know, awards, stuff that you handed out, what people got, sponsors, anything, just anything in that lane, just to sort of just kind of, I don't know, recap everybody that helped out or sponsored or who you reached out to and whoever did what, that's fine. Or however you want to break that down. Totally up to you.
So I ended up actually getting quite a few sponsors for the competition. So I was able to give out a prize for the winner of each event. For the Country Crush, Joel Sward donated two $50 gift certificates to House of Muscle, which is his supplement company. So the winners of each event took that. Or the winners of the Silver Bullet, the male and female, took that. For the Saxon Bar, Will Fatiger sent out two $50 gift certificates to his supplement company, No Fair Supplements. So the male and female there that won that event took those. For the Country Crush actually sponsored us. So Zane sent out also two $50 gift certificates for the top male and female. Luke Raymond sponsored us with Arm Assassin for the Anvil. $50 again for the winners. And then you sponsored for the Grip Show. So you sent out those, the engraved cups. So the winner of the medley got those. Ward Smelling Salts sent a bottle of smelling salts for each athlete, and that's actually how we drew numbers for the Silver Bullet. I wrote a number on the bottle of each smelling salt, so when the athlete took theirs, that's the order they went in.
Okay.
Kurt with the Firm Handshake Society sent out stickers for all the athletes, so that was pretty cool too. And about a week before the competition, a friend of mine, Paul McGuire, made a donation. So I was able to give all the weight class winners $20 for winning their divisions. So I think that was it for the sponsors.
Cool. Anything else as far as like oh sorry, yeah, I was gonna say like post comp or anything, but yeah, keep going, David. Sorry.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to all the people that came and helped out on the day. So I had Bill, who did the scorekeeping, Joanna, Max for doing the refereeing. I had Sam loading. A few people from the crowd jumped in and started loading too. So I have no idea who they are, but I appreciate them hopping in and helping out. Eric for hosting us at Titan Barbell. That was awesome. It was a great venue. So.
All right. Now, Eric's David, I always ask.
Eric's got a great gym too, Zach. It's fantastic. It's
I saw some of the pictures, but yeah, I haven't had a chance to really look at everything fully. I mean, I saw some of the videos too, but no.
It's fully equipped for strongman. Some excellent equipment for like your normal accessory training and for bodybuilding. Platforms for things like deadlifts, bumpers for Olympic weightlifting. I don't recall seeing Olympic barbells, but that doesn't mean they weren't there. I just didn't look for them. He even had gymnastics rings, and Sam Mitchell did a real sweet muscle up on those after the contest. So I definitely encourage anybody, if there's a contest if they're in this area and Eric is hosting a contest, whether it be a grip contest or even strongman, then you should consider it. It's a great facility, and if you're in the area to train, I would imagine it'd be a great place to train with all that equipment. It's a very well equipped. He's got a great facility up there.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the cool things about these competitions is just kind of seeing the venues. Like Greenville Grab was at like an MMA gym this year, but it seems like a lot of these venues are pretty cool. And the Pacific Regionals, they just had theirs at Dungeon Strength, which I mean is decked out in a super cool gym. So I think one of the things that's interesting is just hearing about the different venues and different gyms and different contacts in some of these different regions where um, we're hosting grip competitions, but they're not necessarily just grip sport gyms. It's working with some of these other gyms that specialize in other sports and other types of training that are allowing some of our promoters to host and stuff. So I don't know. It's just an interesting part for me breaking these down. I like to kind of see what was it like at the gym, who was there, what do they got, what's different than so and so and what they did. But so it's always fun for comparisons. And David, what I was going to mention a second ago when I interrupted you guys on accident was I know last year it was in Vermont. You took it this year. Within that region, I know there's always the talk of, if somebody's reliable running it again, or if there's a real good setup running it again, or also on the flip side, trying to make sure that, somebody else new gets a chance and that the regional championship moves around the region a little bit so that everybody's not always kind of having home court advantage or traveling to the same place. And if you don't know anything yet, you don't have to say anything. But with you hosting a successful competition, any thoughts about next year, whether you'll host, whether you'll try to help out, or any talks about next year's competition yet?
So if nobody else puts a bid in for it, I'm willing to host it again. I had a great time doing that this year, but I'd have a plan to host another competition next year that might be a little bit bigger than this. And so I'd like to do that at Titan instead. So if somebody wants to take it and host it, please do. Because I think it would be nice to, let somebody else take that for a year. But again, if nobody else wants it, I will host it again. I'm willing to do that.
Okay. And then Jedd, what are I don't know, any thoughts from you pulling off the back-to-back victory here at the regionals and hitting the road and competing a little bit? Because you've been hitting the road the last couple of years a little bit more. I don't know if it's when you stopped kind of hosting the nationals and put it up for a vote, Jedd, but I feel like some of the earlier videos when I got into the sport was you constantly hosting in Pennsylvania, and it seemed like you couldn't hardly travel because you were always hosting at your place. But now that opened up a little bit, it seems like you've been hitting the road more from the Minnesota competitions, the Feet Meet Invitational. There's, you went to Vermont, now you're out in Massachusetts. What's it like for you kind of jumping in on these regionals? And do you have any, I don't know, what would be ideal for you next year, hosting wise, or would you like to see a different area, or?
Well, probably for the regionals, so for both years, it was about an average of 6-hour drive for me, which I don't care about that because I generally just move my Friday classes over to Thursday, and then I can get out like in the late morning, early afternoon and get up to where I need to go. So that's not a problem. I would say probably like upper New York State would probably be a more centralized location, but then that requires a lot of people from like New England area to make the drive. And I don't know how many people in the actual New England area would be willing to make that drive because you end up, it looks like we've seen a lot of like local competitors come to both of the 25 and 26 regional competition. But then like last year, a lot of the locals that went to the Vermont contest didn't come to this one. And a lot of the ones that were at this one this year weren't there last year. So I don't know if that's an awareness issue or if they, did they even know the contest was going on? I don't know. There was one person that I reached out to make sure that they knew that this contest was going on because they did so well last year, and they literally said that they were not interested in traveling that far. So the region, even though it, and I don't have the the infographic in front of me to look at the actual size of the regions, it just seems like a lot of the people from the extreme south of the Northeast and the extreme north of the Northeast don't make the travels. So I'm not sure if there's anything that can really be done to address that. I'm only assuming here, but I just think that with the expertise level, the experience level of the people in the region, they'd probably want to stay close. So as it moves around, you'll probably see more people pop up that are local to that contest, but you may not see them at other competitions. Who knows? I really don't know.
Yeah.
As far as my traveling, last year was the first year we did this, and I thought it would be a cool opportunity to compete in the first one. And then I do feel personally obligated to go and defend the title. So whenever I'm available, I'm gonna sign up for a contest that I may have won in the past. That's for sure. My daughter's at an age now and she doesn't play sports or anything, so I'm not missing out on major activities during the month of August and and then into the winter. So that's not a problem for me. But I also recognize that I have a great deal more flexibility in my schedule than a lot of other people because I'm self-employed and my business is flexible. I can move stuff around on other days. Other people that are self-employed probably don't have that flexibility. So it's just a different situation, and I totally recognize that. But I don't think I'm done traveling by any means, especially when it's a quality contest like this. And Vince also ran a quality contest last year. I bet he would have considered putting in to run it again this year, but that gym that hosted us last year had to shut down due to some circumstances beyond the host's control. So I believe that played a part in the contest not taking place with Vince and Vince not putting in for it. So I also don't know who else in the area has access to a facility that is as nice as the two that have hosted these regionals. One name that comes to mind is Sal Sabatino. He appears to have connections with some facilities that would be suitable for a regional like this. I'm not sure about Lucio, but as far as I know, Lucio's never actually hosted a contest before, so it'd probably be quite an endeavor for him to get his feet wet by jumping into a regionals. But there's still a lot of big names. I probably wouldn't do it, Zach, because historically, people outside of like the Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey area are the only ones that come to my contest. So with the exception of nationals, of course, but like when I have my napalm contest, worldwide grip battle, King Kong, stuff like that. Usually it's people that are very local within like 3 or 4 hours. So I wouldn't want to limit the field by holding it. I think I'm just too far out satellite wise for people to make that commitment to the travel. Plus, my facility is not nearly as big as the facility that we were at this past weekend, so it may not even be a good fit for it. But we'll see. I would totally support Dave running the contest again, or Vince if he found a location. So, and probably the other names that I mentioned, I would love to see them get involved too. So, who knows? We'll see what happens.
All right, so covering the venue and kind of just mentioned the past competition and then this year's, we're talking about all these hosting things and different, different facilities, different gyms. For you guys as lifters, what's on your guys' radar now? I know David, you mentioned you're kind of coming over, you're getting over some injuries, so you're kind of taking it easy on some stuff. Jedd, you just won this, but I don't know if is it regional to King Kong for you, or what exactly is on your guys' competition calendar next?
Well,
So,
go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I'm not going to be competing for the rest of the year. I'm just going to take. I mean, the last competition I was going to do anyway was the Olympia. So I already booked my flight in hotel. I'm going to go out for the weekend. I'll help out with some stuff there. Lucio is doing something cool that weekend, so I'm going to be there for him to watch that. That'll be cool too. But yeah, I'm not going to be competing until 2027. I am going to be hosting another competition this year though, in Maine, November 14th. It was me and Emmett Salmon will be co-hosting the Maine State Championship.
Oh, that'll be cool. Yeah. And then Jedd, what about you? What's next on your basically your competitor?
I'm looking at driving down to North Carolina for the AGP.
That's right. Yeah.
The Bob Sundin Memorial event. So that's like September 5th or something like that. And then I don't know. I'll probably do a session or two just to get reacquainted with the equipment, because there is sledge choke, which is very, very different from other events. So I just don't want to injure something. And the V bar, I think I've done enough little bighorn and rogue anvil and stuff like that I'm pretty well conditioned. So it would just be a matter of figuring out where I'm at with the 2-inch vertical bar, if I can even find mine. I really have no idea where I know in the past I was topping out at like 250 on that thing, which is not as good as it used to be compared to the overall numbers. So we'll see what happens. But then after that, it'll be King Kong, which I'll host here in Wailusing and probably do some dabbling with the implements in order to get a decent showing. But nowhere near the kind of obsessive training that I've done in the past. Just doesn't interest me to work on the grab ball because I'm much stronger left-handed, but that implement absolutely kills my left-hand injury. So and the thumb blaster doesn't really match my hand real well. It's just hard to get excited about these events, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to compete, because I'm going to run the event. So, and then it'll be time to prepare for the Napalm Nightmare World Championship at the end of the year in December.
Yeah. And that's also multi-venue for anybody listening in that's not aware. It's pretty much just a competition full of 4 different Napalm Nightmare handles with 2 versions at the pinch and then 2 versions of the rolling handle. But yeah, good multi-venue competition to close out the year for everybody. We just mentioned the competitions there. And Jedd, you mentioned, I don't know, not being that excited about some of the events that are coming up, or just certain injuries kind of making the training not ideal. Is there anything that you're pushing on the feet side of things, or do you think that's a chance for you to get back to maybe doing some feats and lay off some of the competition stuff and maybe kind of get some, I don't know, just get back into some other strengths or some other things that maybe have slipped away with you competing so much the last year? I don't know if that's how you feel, but
I want to. It's funny you mentioned that, because I'm not sure I've put it out there, but I do want to make another run at the inch dumbbell clean and press. I feel like I'm strong enough where I'll be able to do the clean, if not the first session that I try it, probably the second. But the press just continues to elude me. It's just so annoying. And I wanted to be able to take the inch outside and train it so that if I have to ditch it, I can just throw it on the ground and it doesn't break my floor. But now, I mean, the summer's pretty much gone. So I don't have a ton of time. So I'll probably just be going back to the crash pads in the gym, which is fine. But but regardless, it's on me to correct my mobility limitations. It's entirely mobility limitations that are holding me back from getting that press overhead. So now's the time to kind of buckle down and work on it, like at least once a week, and make it happen.
Okay. And then David, I know you said your competition schedule is going to be a little bit lighter, and you're going to be focused on some other stuff. Do you have any other feats that you're working on? Any side quests going on in the meantime that doesn't aggravate your hand or finger?
So I'm probably not going to train any grip at all for the next month, just to let the hand recover. But I am actually I'm helping out at a competition in Connecticut on October 14th or 15th that weekend, and they're having a strict curl competition. So I'm going to give that a crack and see what I can do with that.
Okay. Well, Jedd's done some. You can talk to him.
Who's running that, Dave? Is that John Gaglione?
No, that's so the 6 strength team that I don't know if they've sanctioned the competition yet, but they're putting that on as well. They're doing a full strength expo at the gym that weekend. So
Okay.
powerlifting, strongman, strict curl. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Very good.
All right. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of check in with you guys as far as your competition schedule goes, because I know I always like to kind of, hey, what are you hosting next? But then also, hey, what are you doing as a competitor? Just so we're, where can people find you, and what do you guys got going on, or just some other behind the scenes lists that maybe you're working on, that maybe people aren't aware of. So I always like to kind of get those things out there. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this one. If you guys have anything else you'd like to add, let me know, or just go ahead and I guess I'll give you guys both a chance to give some closing statements here. But yeah, no, it seems like it was an awesome competition. Seems like it was another successful regionals, and no, thank you guys for coming on the show and giving us a chance to kind of talk it out and just kind of see what it was like for those of us that weren't in the region or not able to make it. So, but yeah, whatever kind of stuff you want to close with, feel free.
Just good job running the contest, Dave. Keep up the good work, and you're becoming an ambassador of the sport. And he's got what is that called? New England Grip Alliance, Dave, that you got on Instagram.
Yeah.
So he's done a lot of work with finding information and data on previous contests and performances within New England in the sport of grip. He's done a good job with that. So if you're in the area and up in the New England area, you should look up Dave, because he's the man.
Thank you, Jedd. I appreciate that. And thank you for having me on, Zach. And thank you, Jedd, for coming down to the competition. And,
yeah, buddy.
Thank you again, everybody that showed up and everybody that came to help out. It was a blast running it. And, hopefully you guys come to some of my competitions in the future, because I plan on hosting quite a few more. So.
All right. Well, like I said, thank you guys again. And yeah, anybody trying to, I don't know, compete in these guys' regions, get a hold of them, reach out, and follow those pages, and just keep an eye on the calendar and other developments as they happen. But yeah, thank you guys. Awesome recap, and yeah, wish you the best in your next events.
Thank you.